Nathaniel pushed through the thick forest, branches scratching his arms and face. He didn't slow down. His boots sank into wet moss, and his breath came heavy, but he kept moving. This wasn't a hunt. This was a mission. And he wasn't turning back. Up ahead, the trees opened just enough to reveal a clearing bathed in pale morning light. In the center stood an elf, tall, proud, and motionless. He wore shining silver armor, smooth and sharp like ice. A deep blue cloak flowed down his back, swaying gently with the breeze. His long white hair rested neatly on his shoulders, and his sharp green eyes locked onto Nathaniel the moment he stepped out of the shadows. "You're far from your kind, human," the elf said, his voice calm but cold. Nathaniel clenched his fists. "You know why I'm here." The elf tilted his head slightly. "Do I?" "Greystone," Nathaniel said, his voice tight with anger. 2 weeks ago, burned to the ground. Your arrows were found in the rubble." The elf didn't blink. He looked at Nathaniel like someone would look at a fly. Annoying, but not dangerous. "You stand here in our forest," the elf said, taking the slow step forward, with accusations and no proof. Nathaniel reached into the pouch tied to his belt and pulled out a broken arrow. Its tip was silver, its shaft marked with elven runes. He held it up. "This was in my sister's chest." For the first time, the elf's eyes flickered with something. Surprise, maybe, or guilt. "Who gave the order?" Nathaniel asked. "Who sent the rangers?" "You shouldn't be here," the elf said. "Go back to your land. Before you get hurt." "I'm not leaving," Nathaniel said. "Not until I get justice." From the trees behind the elf, more movement. Other elves, dressed in armor, stepping into the light. Their hands hovered near their weapons, their faces unreadable. Nathaniel's heart pounded, but he stood tall. "You think your walls and your magic protect you. But the truth has already started to spread. People know what you did." The elf stepped even closer, his cloak brushing the grass. "You are brave, human," he said softly. "But brave men die quickly in our woods." Nathaniel looked him straight in the eyes. "Then let me die fighting for what's right." For a long moment, no one moved. The forest around them held its breath. Then, from the shadows, a soft voice spoke. "Let him speak." A female elf stepped into view. Her hair was dark, her armor lighter than the others, her cloak short and gray. Her eyes, though, were full of thought. Watching, listening. The male elf glanced at her, frowning, but stepped aside. "Say what you came to say," she told Nathaniel. He nodded once and took a deep breath. It was time to tell them everything. This wasn't just about a village. This was about truth. About standing up, even when no one believed he had the right to. And he wasn't going to back down. Nathaniel stood in the middle of the forest clearing, eyes fixed on the elves around him. His heart beat hard in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. "My name is Nathaniel Hale," he said. "I came from Greystone, a small village south of the Elven border. We lived in peace. We never crossed into your lands. We never broke any treaty." The elves didn't move. Their faces showed little emotion. They were trained to be silent, trained to hide what they felt. Only the female elf who had spoken before looked curious. Nathaniel continued. 2 weeks ago, in the middle of the night, we were attacked. No warning, no message. The fire spread fast. People screamed. Families ran into the woods. Some didn't make it. He paused, swallowing hard. My sister, she was only 13. A flicker passed through the female elf's eyes. Not pity, but something close. Nathaniel saw it and kept going. When the fire died, we searched the ashes. We found these. He held out a small bundle of broken arrows. Each one was marked with the same runes. Elven writing. Your kind made these. Your kind left them behind. The male elf stepped forward again. Many use old elven weapons. Thieves, black market traders, even other humans. This proves nothing. Nathaniel looked at him sharply. We both know these aren't stolen weapons. These were fresh. Clean. Your rangers have them. I saw one near the border 2 nights before the attack. The female elf glanced at the others. Which ranger? She asked. I don't know his name, Nathaniel said. But he had red markings on his armor, 3 lines down his left arm. The elves shifted slightly. The male elf's jaw tightened. For the first time, Nathaniel saw tension in their perfect calm. He came close to the village, Nathaniel said. I thought it was strange, but I didn't think he'd come back with fire and arrows. The female elf nodded slowly. You are asking us to investigate one of our own, she said. Do you understand the weight of that? I do, Nathaniel answered. But your honor means nothing if you protect the guilty. Someone gave the order to attack. Someone watched my people burn. And someone needs to answer for that. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then the female elf spoke again. My name is Lyra. I serve as a scribe in the House of Records. I will take your claim to the council. The male elf frowned. This is foolish. Truth is never foolish, she replied. Nathaniel gave her a small nod. Thank you. Lyra turned to him. You will come with me, but you must know, many in the council do not care for humans. They will not welcome you. Nathaniel looked toward the path ahead. I didn't come for welcome, he said. I came for the truth. And with that, they began walking, deeper into Elven land, deeper into danger. Nathaniel followed Lyra through narrow paths and winding roads inside the Elven city of Lyrithal. Tall trees with silver leaves towered over them, and soft light filtered through the branches. The city was quiet, but everywhere Nathaniel saw signs of power. The carved stone walls, the glowing lanterns, the guards who watched silently from the shadows. Lyra moved quickly, her steps light but sure. Nathaniel tried to keep up, but his legs were heavy with exhaustion. He hadn't slept well since Greystone was destroyed, and the weight of what he carried pressed on him like a stone. After a long walk, they reached a large building made of white marble. Its doors were carved with symbols of justice and balance. Lyra stopped and turned to him. This is the hall of the council, she said softly. The place where the elders meet to decide the fate of the elves, and sometimes the humans. Nathaniel took a deep breath and nodded. Will they listen? That depends on them, Lyra said. And on you. She pushed open the heavy doors, and the cool air inside wrapped around them. The hall was bigger than anything Nathaniel had seen, with high ceilings and walls lined with glowing crystals. At the far end, a circle of elves sat on tall chairs. Their faces were proud and cold. Lyra led Nathaniel to the center of the room. This is Nathaniel Hale, from Greystone. He brings news of an attack on his village. One of the elders, a tall elf with silver hair and sharp eyes, spoke. Why should we believe a human story? Humans often exaggerate. Nathaniel's voice was steady. Because I have proof. He reached into his bag and pulled out the broken arrows. He laid them on the polished floor for all to see. The elves leaned forward, whispering to each other. One elder's eyes darkened as he looked at the arrows. Nathaniel recognized him from the patrol logs Lyra had mentioned. The Captain Valen, a man feared by many. Where did you get these? Valen asked, his voice low and dangerous. From the ruins of Greystone, Nathaniel said. They were found among the ashes. Valen's face hardened. This is a serious accusation. Do you have more evidence? Lyra stepped forward. We have patrol records, logs that show Valen was near Greystone before the attack. Valen's eyes narrowed. These records can be forged. Nathaniel shook his head. Lyra gave them to me. She believes in justice. The room grew tense. Some elves looked angry. Others seemed uneasy. The leader of the council, an elder named Silverian, spoke again. This is a grave matter. We will investigate. But until then, Nathaniel, you will remain here as a guest. No harm will come to you. Nathaniel bowed his head. Thank you. As he looked around the hall, He realized the battle wasn't just outside the city walls. It was here, inside this room. The truth was a fragile thing, and the elves were not used to being challenged. Lara came to his side. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. Nathaniel nodded. "Then I'll be ready." Nathaniel sat quietly in the guest chambers of the Elven city. The room was small but clean, with a window that looked out over the dense forest. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting soft shadows on the wooden floor. The walls were decorated with delicate tapestries showing scenes of elven history, but none of it comforted him. His mind was heavy with worry. He thought about Greystone, his home now gone, and the people he had lost. His sister's face haunted him, her smile frozen in his memory. He clenched his fists, fighting the anger and sadness that threatened to overwhelm him. A soft knock came at the door. Lara stepped inside, carrying a small bundle of papers. "May I come in?" she asked gently. Nathaniel nodded. "Of course." She sat down across from him and opened the papers. "These are the patrol logs I mentioned to the council. I copied them before the meeting. They show where each ranger was assigned." Nathaniel leaned forward. "And Valen?" "He was near Greystone the night before the attack. His patrol was the closest." Nathaniel's jaw tightened. Then he lied when he said he wasn't involved. Lara looked at him thoughtfully. "It's not that simple. Valen has powerful friends in the council. They protect him." "Why?" Nathaniel asked. "Because Valen believes the humans are dangerous. He thinks attacking villages like Greystone will keep the elves safe." Nathaniel shook his head. "He's wrong. Violence only brings more pain." Lara sighed. "The council is divided. Some want peace. Others want war. Your arrival has stirred old tensions. What will happen now?" Nathaniel asked. "An investigation," Lara said. "But it will be slow. Valen will try to hide the truth." Nathaniel looked out the window, watching the wind move the trees. "I need proof. Something clear. If I want justice for Greystone, I have to find more." Lara stood and folded the papers carefully. "I can help. I know where to look." "Where?" Nathaniel asked, hope rising in his chest. "The Rangers keep their own secret records, hidden in the Moonspire Tower. If we can get those, we might find the orders Valen received." Nathaniel's eyes widened. "That's dangerous." Lara smiled faintly. "Yes, but you're already here, and you're not afraid." They planned quietly late into the afternoon. Lara explained the tower's guards, the secret doors, and the best time to sneak inside. Nathaniel listened carefully, feeling a spark of determination. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the room, Nathaniel stood. "Thank you, Lara, for believing in this." She nodded. "Justice is worth fighting for, even if the elves don't want to admit it." Nathaniel took a deep breath. Tomorrow, he would face the Rangers' secrets. Tomorrow, he would get closer to the truth. And no matter what happened, he would never stop fighting for his home. That night, Nathaniel and Lara moved quietly through the Elven city. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds, and the streets were empty. Only the soft sound of their footsteps broke the silence. They'd reached the Moonspire Tower, a tall building that touched the sky. Its walls were smooth white stone, and faint blue light glowed from narrow windows near the top. Guards stood by the entrance, their armor shining faintly under the moonlight. Lara glanced around and motioned for Nathaniel to follow her to a small side door. It was hidden behind climbing ivy and almost invisible in the dark. She pulled a thin metal pin from her belt and pressed it into a small hole near the handle. With a quiet click, the door opened. Inside, the tower was cold and smelled of old paper. Narrow staircases spiraled upward, and long hallways stretched out into darkness. Lara held a small lantern, its flame flickering softly. "The records are kept on the 3rd floor," she whispered. "We have to move fast." Nathaniel nodded. They climbed the stairs carefully, trying to make no noise. Every shadow seemed alive, and every creak of the floor made his heart jump. At the third floor, they found a heavy wooden door locked with a silver clasp. Lara reached into her cloak and pulled out a thin dagger. She worked quickly, picking the lock with steady hands. The door swung open to reveal a small room filled with shelves. Scrolls and books lined every wall, stacked neatly in rows. In the center was a large wooden desk covered with papers. Lara stepped inside and began searching through the scrolls. "These should have the patrol orders," she said, pulling one from the shelf and unrolling it. Nathaniel read over her shoulder. The scroll showed a map of the border and a list of ranger assignments. His eyes scanned the page until he found what they needed. "Valen's name is here," he said quietly. "And look at this. There's an order dated the day before the attack. It says, 'Secure Greystone and report all movements.'" Lara frowned. "That's vague, but it means Valen was told to go near your village." Nathaniel's hands trembled. "This is proof, enough to start an investigation." Suddenly, a noise came from the hallway, a sharp voice calling out in Elven. Footsteps approached quickly. "Hide," Lara hissed. They ducked behind a large shelf just as two guards entered the room. The men scanned the room, their eyes sharp and suspicious. One guard stepped closer to the desk, touching the papers carefully. Nathaniel held his breath, hoping they wouldn't discover the missing scrolls. After a tense moment, the guards left, their footsteps fading down the stairs. "That was close," Lara whispered. Nathaniel nodded, his heart racing. "We have what we came for. Now we need to get out." They slipped back through the side door, moving as fast as they dared. Once outside, the cool night air filled their lungs. "Thank you, Lara," Nathaniel said quietly. "This means everything." She smiled faintly. "We still have to show it to the council. And Valen won't give up easily." Nathaniel looked back at the moon spire, its windows glowing like watchful eyes. "Then we have to be ready for whatever comes next." The next morning, the council gathered again in the great hall. Nathaniel stood among the elves, holding the scroll tightly in his hand. The proof of Valen's orders burned like fire inside him. The elders sat in their high chairs, watching silently. Valen was there too, his face calm but his eyes cold. Lara stepped forward and spoke first. "We have found new evidence. Patrol records show Valen was ordered to secure Greystone and report all movements the day before the attack." The room filled with whispers. Some elves looked surprised, others scowled. Valen stood slowly. The order was clear: to secure, not to attack. "I followed my orders exactly." Nathaniel's voice was steady but strong. "Your men burned the village. Your arrows killed my sister. You say you followed orders, but who gave the order to attack?" Silverian, the council leader, raised his hand to silence the room. "These are serious accusations. Valen, how do you respond?" Valen looked directly at Nathaniel. "I did what was necessary to protect our lands. Humans have been a threat for years. I regret the loss of innocent lives. But the safety of the elves comes first." Nathaniel's hands clenched. "You call it protection, but you destroyed families. You are no different from the enemies you claim to fight." Lara stepped beside Nathaniel. "We must find out who gave Valen the orders. If it wasn't him, then someone higher in the council is responsible." Silverian's eyes narrowed. "Accusing the council is dangerous. Do you have proof?" Nathaniel shook his head. "Not yet, but I will find it. I will not stop until justice is done." A younger elf spoke up. "The council has been divided for years. Some want peace, others war. Perhaps this attack was part of a plan to push for more control." The hall grew tense. Silverian looked away for a moment, then spoke again. "We will open a full investigation. Valen will be held under watch. No one will act without council approval." Nathaniel felt a small hope flicker inside. It was not justice yet, but it was a start. After the meeting, Lara approached Nathaniel. "You have made enemies here. Valen's supporters won't take this lightly." Nathaniel nodded. "I know. But I'm ready. Whatever it takes. Lara smiled softly. Good. Because this is only the beginning. Nathaniel looked around the hall, feeling the weight of every eye on him. He wasn't just fighting for Greystone anymore. He was fighting for every family that had suffered in silence. And he knew one thing for sure. He would never give up. Days passed slowly. Nathaniel stayed in the Elven city, waiting for news from the council. Every morning, he walked through the quiet streets, feeling both out of place and determined. The other elves watched him with mixed curiosity and suspicion. Some avoided him, while a few offered quiet nods. One afternoon, Lara found him sitting by a small fountain in the city square. Her face was serious. They've started the investigation, she said. But it's slow. The council is full of secrets. Nathaniel sighed. How can we trust them? We can't, she said softly. But we can watch them. Nathaniel nodded. What do you mean? There's a meeting tonight, Lara explained. A secret one. Valen's supporters are gathering. They don't want the investigation to succeed. Nathaniel's eyes sharpened. Can we stop them? Lara smiled faintly. We can try. That night, Nathaniel and Lara slipped through back alleys toward a hidden part of the city. The air was cold, and shadows wrapped around the tall trees like blankets. They reached a small courtyard where several elves stood talking in low voices. The faces were harsh, filled with anger and fear. Nathaniel recognized Valen among them, his armor dark under the moonlight. We must end this foolish investigation, Valen said sharply. If we show weakness, our enemies will take advantage. One of the elves nodded. The humans don't belong here. They threaten our way of life. Nathaniel clenched his fists. He could not let this go on. Lara placed a hand on his arm. We need a plan. Rushing in won't help. They listened quietly as the group made plans to delay the investigation and discredit Nathaniel. After the meeting ended, Lara whispered, We have to act fast. If they succeed, everything we fought for will be lost. Nathaniel looked at the angry faces fading into the night. Then we fight smarter. Not just with swords, but with truth. Over the next days, Nathaniel worked with Lara to gather more evidence. They talked to villagers who had escaped the attack, collected stories, and searched for anything that could expose the hidden leaders behind the violence. Sometimes, people were scared to speak. Others were angry or sad. But slowly, a clearer picture began to form. One evening, Lara showed Nathaniel a hidden letter she had found among the council's secret archives. It was a message from a high-ranking elf, ordering increased patrols near human villages and hinting at necessary actions to keep the land safe. Nathaniel read the letter carefully. This changes everything, he said. This shows the attack on Greystone was planned. Lara nodded. But now we must be careful. If they find out we have this, they will try to stop us. Nathaniel looked out toward the dark forest beyond the city walls. They won't stop me. Not now. He was ready to face whatever came next, no matter the cost. Nathaniel and Lara knew the council would try to silence them. They decided to speak with Silverian, the council leader, hoping he would listen to the truth. They found Silverian in his private chamber, surrounded by books and glowing crystals. His face was tired but calm. Silverian, Lara began, we have proof that some in the council planned the attack on Greystone. We have a letter ordering increased patrols and necessary actions. This cannot be ignored. Silverian's eyes darkened. He took the letter and read it carefully. This is troubling, he said. If true, it means betrayal within our own council. Nathaniel stepped forward. You must stop them before more innocent people suffer. My village is gone, but others can still be saved. Silverian looked at Nathaniel with respect. You have courage. I will support an official investigation, but it will not be easy. The council is divided, and some are powerful. What do we do next? Lara asked. We gather more evidence, Silverian said, and protect those who speak the truth. Nathaniel nodded. I will do whatever it takes. After leaving the chamber, Nathaniel and Lyra began to organize. They reached out to elves and humans who wanted peace, gathering a small group willing to stand against the corrupt council members. The group met in secret, sharing information and planning their next moves. Nathaniel felt a growing hope. Maybe justice was possible. One day, while searching the archives, Lyra discovered another letter. This one was worse. It spoke of a secret meeting where some council members planned to attack more villages to force humans to submit. Nathaniel's anger boiled over. We have to stop this before it's too late. Lyra agreed. We must warn the villages and prepare defenses. They sent messengers to the nearby villages, warning them of the danger. Some humans were frightened, others angry. But many listened and began to organize for protection. The elves who supported Nathaniel helped spread the message quietly, risking their own safety. One night, as Nathaniel stood watch outside the city walls, Lyra joined him. This fight is bigger than Greystone, she said. We are standing for all who suffer. Nathaniel looked at the dark forest. I never imagined I would fight alongside an elf. But now, I trust you. Lyra smiled softly. Sometimes, the hardest battles bring the strongest bonds. They prepared for what was coming, knowing the road ahead was dangerous. But Nathaniel felt ready. He was no longer just a man from a burned village. He was a fighter for justice, and he would not stop until the truth was known. And the elves who tried to hide their secrets would never see him coming. The night was cold and quiet. Nathaniel and Lyra met with their small group in a hidden clearing deep in the forest. The trees around them were tall and thick, keeping their meeting secret from watchful eyes. Lyra spread out a rough map on a flat stone. We have learned that Valen and his supporters plan to attack several human villages soon, she said. We need to act before more lives are lost. Nathaniel looked around at the faces in the circle, elves and humans alike. Some were young, others old, but all shared the same determination. What's the plan? Nathaniel asked. Lyra pointed to several spots on the map. We will warn the villages first. Then, our fighters will help protect them. One man, a skilled archer named Aaron, spoke up. I know the forests well. I can lead patrols to keep watch for any attackers. A woman named Mara nodded. And I will organize the villagers. We need to prepare defenses, traps, anything that can slow down the enemy. Nathaniel felt hope rising. I will speak to the village leaders. They must believe us and be ready. As they made their plans, a soft rustling came from the bushes. Everyone froze, hands reaching for weapons. But it was only a young elf boy, wide-eyed and out of breath. There's trouble, he whispered. Valen's guards are searching for you. They know about the secret meetings. Nathaniel's heart raced. We have to move. Quickly. Lyra nodded. We can't let them catch us now. They packed their things and slipped through the trees, heading toward the village of Ashvale. Nathaniel thought about the families waiting for their warning. The people who had no idea danger was coming. When they arrived, the village was quiet. Fires burned low in stone hearths, and the streets were empty. Nathaniel found the village leader, an older man named Thomas, sitting outside his home. Thomas, Nathaniel said urgently, Valen plans to attack your village soon. We must prepare to defend it. Thomas looked at him with tired eyes. Why should we trust you? How do we know this isn't a trick? Nathaniel showed him the letters and patrol orders. I risked everything to bring you this truth. Thomas studied the papers. After a long silence, he nodded. We will get ready. Thank you for warning us. Word spread quickly through Ashvale. Villagers began to gather wood, sharpen tools, and set up watch posts. Nathaniel and Lyra stayed with them, training the people to fight if needed. The villagers were afraid but determined to protect their homes. One night, as they prepared for battle, Nathaniel looked at the faces around him. These were the people he was fighting for, families like his own. He thought about Greystone. The village lost to fire and arrows, and he made a silent promise. No more villages would suffer like that. He would fight with every breath to protect those who could not defend themselves. And the elves who tried to destroy them would never see justice coming. The night before the attack, HFY was tense. Villagers stayed awake, keeping watch by fires and behind walls made of wood and stone. Nathaniel and Lyra moved quietly among them, helping where they could and offering words of encouragement. Remember, Nathaniel told a group of farmers turned fighters, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every family who wants peace. Lyra nodded, and we fight together. That is our strength. As the moon climbed higher, shadows moved near the edge of the forest. Small groups of elven soldiers, led by Valen, crept toward the village. Their armor shimmered faintly under the moonlight. Nathaniel stood beside the village gate, bow ready. His heart beat fast, but his hands were steady. Suddenly, a horn sounded from the trees, a warning. "They're coming," shouted Aaron, the archer. The villagers took their positions. Arrows flew through the air, meeting the elven soldiers before they could reach the walls. Traps hidden in the forest snared some attackers, slowing their advance. Valen's face was cold as he watched his men fall back. He shouted orders, pushing forward with his strongest fighters. Nathaniel met Valen's gaze across the battlefield. For a moment, they were not enemies but two warriors locked in a silent challenge. Then the fight grew fierce. Lyra fought beside Nathaniel, her sword flashing like silver. Together, they defended the gate, keeping the attackers at bay. Despite their courage, the battle was hard. Some villagers were wounded, and the elven forces pressed closer. Nathaniel remembered the letter, the proof of the council's betrayal. If he could reach Silverian, the council leader, maybe they could stop the attacks for good. "Lyra," he shouted over the noise, "we have to get to Silverian. If he knows the truth, he can end this." Lyra nodded. "Let's move." They fought their way through the chaos, dodging arrows and enemy swords. The forest seemed alive with danger, but they pushed forward. Finally, they'd reached the council chambers. Silverian was there, waiting. "Silverian," Nathaniel said, breathless. "The attack is happening now. The council's traitors are behind it. You must act." Silverian's face hardened. "I will call the loyal guards." Within minutes, more elves appeared, led by Silverian himself. They moved quickly through the city and toward HFY. On the battlefield, Valen saw the new soldiers arriving. His face twisted with anger. "Retreat," he ordered. "This battle is lost." The elven forces pulled back into the forest, disappearing into the shadows. Nathaniel breathed deeply, relief washing over him. The village was safe. For now. Silverian approached Nathaniel and Lyra. "You have done well. The council will purge those who betrayed us." Nathaniel looked at the village behind him, the faces of people still trembling but alive. "This fight is not over," he said quietly. "But today, justice began." Lyra smiled, and the elves who thought they could hide the truth never saw him coming. The dawn broke over HFY, bright and full of hope. Search.